Hello everyone, so I don't know how to title this video, but I will leave a link in the description to an article where you can basically just have a look at it for a few minutes. And basically, I might not cover everything here, but basically have a look at the article, and it's to do with the former Finnish Prime Minister Sanna Marin. Now, I had the pleasure of meeting Sanna Marin just back in November last year, and she was speaking in Taiwan at an event in Taiwan. Now, just to say, any Irish politician, they would be absolutely mortified to go near Taiwan because they're all in China's pockets. Let's be fair, the Chinese government have a huge influence in this country and all it as we speak. We seen just a few years ago in Dundalk that a police station, an unauthorised police station in a foreign country, in Ireland, had their own police officers here operating in the Irish Republic. It's absolutely insane. And the fact of the matter, nobody was ever brought to justice for that because it was a sheer violation of sovereignty that a foreign police agency was acting in Ireland's territory. And long story short, Sanna Marin basically said what I've been saying for the last 50 years, well, not 50 years, but a long time. And I've always said this about Communist China. Communism is always evil, and that's to be totally honest with you. And we see what China does. Specifically at the moment, we see what they're doing to Christians. They're persecuting Christians. They're taking over churches. They're arresting Christians for preaching to God, etc. And we shouldn't allow that. We see this in the West, but we shouldn't allow it happening too. And we shouldn't be doing business with countries that do that to Christians, etc. Because we are the West. We're the beacon of Christianity, etc. But not even that alone. We see the social credit score, which they want to bring in Europe, take for example, but we see what they're doing there. If you criticise the Communist Party, if you criticise anything to do with the Communist regime, etc., over in China, people disappear into camps, re-education camps, which are pretty much concentration camps. Let's call them what they are. But what I'm trying to say, and even minorities in China, what awful things has been done to them, etc. And not even that freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, etc., all the violations that we hold dear in the West and we want to defend. And I think it's immoral that we have, take for example, Ireland doing business with China, selling goods to China. Now, I think obviously we're getting cheap goods, etc. from China, and that's what it is. The West has made China what it was, because the West didn't want to pay people to work in their countries. They wanted to outsource it to cheap foreign labour in China. And we should never have done that for the first place. And I do think in Ireland we shouldn't feed the beast. What I mean to say is feed China, the communist China. Because, let's be fair, they don't value our values, what we value in Ireland, and its sovereignty. And again, Taiwan, as Sanna Marin has said, has its right to their sovereignty. It's the same. Irish people believe that Ireland belongs to the Irish, like Taiwan belongs to the Taiwanese people. And it belongs to the people. If the people, it's up to them, it's sovereignty. And that's the whole idea. And it's the same for any country in the world. I believe every country has a right to sovereignty. And Taiwan has a right to sovereignty too. The same as the people of China too. But under authoritarian regimes and stuff, we shouldn't feed them, etc. We shouldn't give them money, because we're pretty much bringing the West's downfall too. And it's evil, let's be fair, and Sanna Marin is right to say to Taiwan, etc., that they should always pursue the sovereignty, always defend their values, etc., as they have done. Because it is, and again, in this country we have deluded ourselves a bit too, to normalise in China, I suppose, in a way. Because the simple reality is that if we are the West, because we had to fight for our values, take for example, Ireland had to fight very hard for its freedom. For us to sit here at the moment with that flag to be behind me, and I think we've forgotten a lot about what freedom means, and not empowering societies. And again, the West is nearly becoming worse than China in a lot of cases. But in theory too, we shouldn't be helping countries that are suppressing its citizens. As I say, because we're allowing it to happen in the West. If we allow it to become normalised too, because China's trying to normalise this, and of course other regimes too, not just China, but China's the main instigator in my opinion. But as I say, Taiwan has its right to its independence, to its sovereignty, and I believe that, extremely seriously. That every country has the right to its sovereignty, the people are the sovereignty of a nation. And again, and the other thing I say is, of course, we see this authoritarian regimes, for example, in Russia, what they're doing in Ukraine and other countries too, that they're becoming emboldened to take other people's countries like Taiwan. And as I say, and this is very clearly that it is kind of becoming normalised, that your might is right, and I think that's really worrying for the world, for smaller countries like Ireland, that this kind of thing, that might is right, because might is not right, and it's simple as that. And especially we see what China always said they would take Taiwan, and we see with Russia too, with Ukraine and other places, that this has become a normalised, and I think we have to stand on values. To deter that, we do have to stand on our values for that. But I do take Santa Mountain is correct in that, and I do take compared to our Taoiseach, our former Taoiseach, the former Finnish Prime Minister, but the former Taoiseach, here Leo Varadkar, Leo with the link as we call him, he went over to communist China and got paid a load of money to go around the big wall of China, the Great Wall of China, the big wall of China, but the Great Wall of China, he got paid a load of money. He took the Chinese Communist Party money and he was off around cities, etc., all on the Communist Party, etc. And he said nothing. He said nothing. You think he would say something, especially him being a gay person. You think because they don't really value that in China too much too. You think he would have said something to the Chinese authorities, do something, some kind of speech, and saying this is outrageous what China's doing to people over there, or take and take even minorities, etc. Not even that, the abuse of freedom of speech, etc. Like Leo Varadkar said nothing. The same as our current government have said nothing. And I will say nothing. Leo, me, Martin will go over flying over the Chinese, say nothing. But Santa Mountain and fairness, though, credit to where credit's due. It takes a lot of backbone to say what has to be said like that. And again, I've always said it too, that we shouldn't work with these regimes that don't value our values, and that's just the simple truth. That's the way I see it anyway. And maybe people see it a different way, but China is not our friend. China is pretty much what the West will turn into, if we allow it to, of course. But the simple thing is that we shouldn't be buddy with China, because China is not our friend. Communism is not our friend. It's never been our friend. We've seen what damage communism has done across the generations and stuff, and we want nothing to do with it. And the same with what China's doing and promoting in their country, we want nothing to do with it. Because we're the West, we're supposed to have values, we're supposed to have democracy, freedom, etc. And it's something that we have to take more notice of, I suppose, because we've forgotten a lot about what the West stands for, what the West fights for, and what we have fought for, even in Ireland's sake. What the whole idea of sovereignty, the whole idea of fighting 800 years to get rid of the British, just to give away sovereignty to somebody else. We have to think about that. We have to look at this, because I think we have forgotten a lot in the last few hundred years. We have forgotten a lot in the last 100 years. We have all the sacrifice, all the determination to keep sovereignty, keep freedom. We've forgotten a lot. But anyway, do let me know what you think. Subscribe for more and bye.